I think personally, we get a bit lost in some of the ways that at least Western religion talks about God, the understanding that, there's this God that's going to determine our actions, and we're either going to heaven or we're going to hell. And if we choose this, then we go this way. We choose that and we go this way. In your experience of having traveled so much and have explored that, is that something that you noticed to be similar in some of the other places you traveled, or that feeling of absolute excavation into everything and nothing? Is that something that you noticed crossed borders, or did the division that we see in, our land here, does that translate or not?
Yeah, I kind of went deep on all this stuff, the metaphysical, and I learned there's a duality everywhere we look. We have, good, evil, black and white. You have gravity and anti-gravity, right? Love and fear. Again, I don't use the word hate. I actually just say fear state and a love state. I really think it's as easy as a duality. And when you go down to quarks, there's they call them the pixels of reality. And when you pull a quark apart, if you take one quark and pull it apart, the energy needed to pull one quark apart creates two quarks. So I've been studying duality, and I found that down from the metaphysical level, all the way down to the atomic level, all the way to the universal level, you have duality. So on the atomic level, you have these things called quarks, and they are the smallest measurable pixel of reality. And in order for you to pull a quark apart, you create two new quarks. So there will never be a single quark. It's always a dual quark. That's on the most micro level. On the most macro level, you have gravity and anti-gravity. And many people believe the Big Bang is actually what they call a big crunch, where you have an explosion, which we all know and study, and that is the winding down of anti-gravity to the point that there's nowhere else for it to go, all the way down to the quark level. And then you have this mass explosion, which is gravity's turn to expand the universe out. And the universe is actually expanding and expanding faster. It's not slowing down. And once all the universe is expanded as far as infinitely it can go, and gravity has nowhere else to go, then anti-gravity comes back, and you have the winding up into this almost breathing-like universe. And so we believe that there's not just the first Big Bang. This is probably the 8 billionth Big Bang, and that this is just repeating itself over and over again. So the reason I say all of this is that I believe life can be as binary as love and fear, black and white, good and evil, if you want to create more of a story to it. And I think it can be as simple as that. Now, going back to the question, is there one God? With this duality theory, there could potentially be two gods.
Ew, interesting.
Right? Or is it just one divine central source which likes to create dimensions? Because in order to create one dimension, you need 2 points, right? Otherwise, there's nothing there, right?
Wow, it's so fascinating, because my understanding of the dimensions, I've actually channeled from an extraterrestrial about the dimensions. My understanding of the first dimension is that it's simply just absolute nothing. There's no perception until it becomes a second. So my understanding is that it's basically zero, and then zero, which is absolute nothing, is the first dimension. And it's only once it has a perception that it can truly even perceive that anything exists. So fascinating that you share that, because the ninth dimension, which is as far as I have traversed in my understanding, the ninth dimension is essentially the perception of the first dimension, but with total and complete everything. So to the point about it's like this, and then it comes out, and then it comes back in, if God is that, I guess, 0 point or the nothing, then it explodes into the everything, and then reverts back to nothing.
Well, here's an idea. You could think of intelligence as this never-ending experiment of self-realization from the first ever 2 points all the way to where we are today. And basically, are atoms aware that they're inside of some subatomic particles? Are subatomic particles aware they're inside of cells? Are cells aware they're inside of multicellular organisms like you and I?
Yeah.
Are we aware that we are inside? Is that aware it's inside?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, for example, a gut bacteria swimming around in our gut right now. It's looking for food. It's looking to procreate. It's looking to go and mate. It is pooping.
Mm-hmm.
It's running from predators. It is living an experience. And some people say that that's not conscious. I think it's very much conscious. It's just a more elementary level of consciousness.
Agreed.
Does it wonder if there's a higher level of consciousness? And is it aware that it's inside of us? And as we try and visualize what it's like to be a spirit or a higher intelligence or God, is like a gut bacteria trying to understand not only this vessel that we're in, but this experience we're having with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the exponential complexity. And, with both a deeper understanding of artificial intelligence and where that's headed, but what Zach Bush is talking about is a deeper understanding of Mother Nature and how divinely intelligent that truly is.
Yes.
We understand that we are just a gut bacteria into something much, much larger that we can only try to understand the same way that gut bacteria could try to understand this experience.
So you believe that everything is, in some ways, this fractal of that essence of that white energy that you connected with, that eternal creator, and it can only perceive in the same perception of what we can in the very physical manifestation that we're at. Is that what you're essentially trying to say?
Well, going back to this duality idea again, it was a yoga teacher in Bali after a yoga session that said, we thank Mother Nature for our bodies, creating our bodies from stardust. And we thank Father for the spirit, for the light. Our bodies without light are just stardust. And our light without body is just light. So it's this idea of without the vessel, we're just pure white light. And without the light, we're just dirt, we're dust, we are.
Well, it's
right?
the same, I guess, analogy as a mother and a father. They only become mother and father because of sperm and the intelligence of the womb. So there would be no creation without the creator having the sperm or the idea to create. And then without the womb itself, it would never be formed. And yet there would be nothing to create unless creation was there and there was a creator. So I feel like in the same way, you're kind of speaking to exactly.
You have that masculine, feminine duality. Masculine, people are referred to as a piercing, direct, almost like a light, right? When a masculine decides something, it is like a laser beam, right? Feminine, people describe as a nourishing Mother Earth, right? A fluidity of material, almost like. So it's like going back to that light and body, masculine, feminine. We all have a masculine, feminine within us. We all have a spirit, and we all have a vessel to carry that spirit in.
So then on that point, do you believe that we are God in the body? What are your thoughts?
So, thought about this quite a bit, and I think there is a law of insignificance, which is you are one human in a earth of 8.5 billion people. If you're lucky, you're going to live for 100, maybe with biohacking 150.
You're lucky.
If you're lucky. In a world that is 4.5 billion years old. And even this earth itself is one tiny speck, insignificant speck in this vast ocean of the universe. So you are an insignificant human living for an insignificant amount of time on an insignificant planet. When you tell that to a pessimist or someone out of a fear state, they say, well, if I'm so insignificant, why do anything? Why not just kill myself? Why not harm others. What's the point of any of this? If you tell that to a optimist in a love state, they'll say, well, if that's true, why not do everything?
Mm.
Why not go and touch 1 million lives? Why not go to every country in the world? Why not go and make $1 billion and then go and give it away?
Mm.
Why not do it all? Right? If I'm so insignificant. Right? So I believe that's true. And, not or, but and I believe you are the divine intelligence that has created this entire universe in a simulation-like fashion, and you have self-created yourself inside of this universe to learn your next lessons. And this is all here for you to reach your highest potential and overcome that fear that you have within you and an experiment. And this might be your millionth time or your billionth time here. And it's for you to self-realize yourself and go one level higher into a higher level of intelligence. I believe both are happening at the exact same time.
So if I reach this full potential, what am I?
What are you? I think we're past labels at that point. Labels are for tin cans.
So we just go back to that experience you had with the gay man who just had that exuberance for life, and we go back to that same place.
Gregorio. We all go to Gregorio state. The state of Gregorio, we call it.
So ultimately, I guess we come back to nothing and everything.
It's just like the universe. We go down to a speck where there's nowhere else to go, and then we explode outward until there's nowhere else to go, and then we come back to the speck. Maybe in this never-ending unfolding of intelligence, we realize everything only to go back to that first cell, right? Maybe it goes back to that first cell or that first new quark in a new realized world or in a new realized intelligence, right? Maybe we're packing up the game to play it again with a little bit more of an understanding.
And every time we're becoming a little bit more of that divine intelligence, it's like I like to say we're kind of entering like a new room, and in that new room, it might look the same, but we feel different when we're approaching it. So the way we navigate it and perceive it is different. And maybe that's like the different dimensions that we're kind of climbing. We're opening them up and seeing them from maybe they look the same, but from a completely different level of perception.
Yeah, if you look at evolution on Earth, there's actually been 6 great extinctions on planet Earth.
Wow.
Yeah, if you look it up, the world was all water, and then it was all ice, and then it was all fire, and then an asteroid hit, and it was all smoke, and just every possible thing that could have tried to exterminate all life. I feel like this divine intelligence creates as much variety as possible, preparing for this next great catastrophe. They say the 7th extinction is going to be the first ever self-made extinction, and that humans are actually, we are the extinction of extinctions. I mean, we put the asteroid to shame in terms of the extermination we are doing on this planet Earth, but every time, sometimes all it takes is one species to make it through this tree of life, and then it expands into a much more diverse kind of like array of different things. If you look at the tree of life over time and compare the tree of life of all species to a simulation of every possible move in a chess game, right? So tic-tac-toe, there's only 14,000 moves. Checkers, I think there's 21, 30 million. Chess, there's 50 million. Go, there's 1 billion. So what you notice is as the game board gets bigger, there's more variation. So it's the same kind of idea with different species and life forms taking shape and preparing for the next extinction while also realizing its full divine intelligence.